A couple of weeks ago I told you all about our latest British Deputy Prime Minister. That's right, the Right Honourable David Lammy. And David, of course, likes to point out, all of these tick-boxy things that really mean nothing if you were simply just getting on with the job or indeed good at the job. For instance, he pointed out that he was the very first black person in that position to announce and to ask questions at Prime Minister's Question Time, deputising for the current British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Sir Keir Starmer. Nobody would have noticed if he could have simply got on at the job. But the biggest problem that he had, of course, was the fact that, around about that time, it appears that his government had let prisoners out of prison with not really knowing who they were, where they were, or why they were in prison, or when they were going to come back. This didn't really take long to filter through to the rest of the world. The incompetence on this level is just off the scale. And the problem that you've got when you have a government in decline, and this is truly what we're looking at, with, for instance, Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, everybody has lied along the way. And as I've often said, chums, part of the problem that you have, and this has been impartial, but you have to say you've had 14 years to find the absolute creme de la creme of people that could help you govern the country. And this bunch of people are the very best you could come up with. Now things are starting to take a turn for the worst. As ever, let me explain. Hi, morning. Good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome, one and all. And of course, welcome brand new subscribers. It's a funny thing, because when you look at it, all of these things start out incredibly well. You have an opportunity to build, if you like, a whole new environment for the country, for the world. Sorry, we'll have a wave. Nice to see you. You just do that. That's the thing. But very quickly, you can see power, greed, supremacy, wanting to take control. It all happens. And it's the same thing when an MP decides to walk across the floor to join a rival party. We've seen this number of times. One woman, Natalie Fleet, I think she did it, right? And suddenly now she's literally on the losing side. You come away thinking, not very bright, clearly, you understand. Where I find this fascinating is this. David Lammy, if you remember earlier this year, when the Vice President of the United States, JD Vance, came over for his supposed summer holiday in the Cotswolds, remember? And there was the whole debacle about how he couldn't get served in a restaurant and, everybody, all the staff walked out. I mean, it's just absolutely preposterous and very bad for our public relations. What you have to remember is every other person here in the United Kingdom loves the American relationship. We're very inspired by your culture, by your television programs. Everything comes from there, really, because, you're always first. You've always come up with something. And of course, our history complements yours. We're first at many things, as are many countries, obviously, around the world. But here's where this gets really interesting, because this particular fake day out, remember, where these two boys had gone fishing, right? Yes, that nice little glamorous picture of where they were fishing together as an afternoon to bond and share experiences in their high power positions. Well, David Lammy literally could not believe his luck. For him, this was the pinnacle, the piece de resistance. Remember, he'd been very, very disrespectful to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. So this was a way of him maneuvering his way back in there and trying to point out to somebody in a very soft, soapy way that, we're all young, we all make mistakes. I've seen the error of my ways. You grovelled, David, right? You absolutely 100% grovelled. However, how's that relationship now? Well, some might say this is simply because while David likes to point to the picture in his office, reminding people of his power and his prestige, it appears that JD Vance has suddenly gone cool on that buddy-buddy relationship. David thought they could call upon each other and share experiences, both in, as I say, a very similar position. What's really happened is that JD Vance has gone back and reported just how badly run our country has become. And not only that, the current British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has refused on a number of occasions to stand up and support President Trump. So naturally, the allegiance is with President Trump, not with the deputy of the British Prime Minister, who may or may not be in that position in a nanosecond. So when you look at things like this and you realise that they're trying to spin this as if we're very closely bonded, no, we're not. There are bigger problems behind the scenes. And what JD Vance really highly pointed out was what exactly President Trump spoke about in an exclusive television interview recently, how badly Europe and in particular the United Kingdom has now become. The only person that hasn't got it, of course, is the Deputy British Prime Minister, David Lammy. Neil Shawn in the very heart of London.